What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome to the MKO Pugilism Boxing channel where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification. Put it on all so you get notified of all the latest content on the channel as and when it drops. So without further ado, let's get into a bit of boxing news. So lately, I've been hearing a lot about Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn being rescheduled. The latest I've got on it is that they're looking to actually redo this fight and to do it not in the UK, of course, because of Conor Benn's name is still not cleared. The British Boxing Board of Control is still not satisfied with his explanation. So what they're looking at is doing the fight in the Middle East. I think it would be Abu Dhabi. I think that's the destination that I heard of. But in relation to that news, you got that one hand, you got that, and relation to that is that the British Boxing Board of Control are actually reaching out to, as they have been since I don't know, not since I suppose since this all broke out and uh, Conor Ben's had his Piers Morgan interview and all this sort of stuff, the board are actively reaching out to international organizations, international governing bodies to try to block Conor Benn from fighting. They're trying to encourage other countries and other international boards to not license Conor Benn. So they really do seem to be making an example out of him. They've gone as far as to say that if Chris Eubank Jr. pursues this fight, it would be very unlikely that they would allow it, that they would allow him as a British Boxing Board of Control license holder to fight against Conor Benn. And yeah, there's a few ways of looking at this, I suppose. The way they're saying it is that it is disrespectful to the sport of boxing to allow a guy like Conor Benn to compete, and they basically their integrity that they say they have will be damaged severely if they allow one of their license holders to compete against someone like Conor Benn, who has failed his drugs test and his name is still not cleared. So I suppose from the outside looking in, that looks like a stance where they can probably, as others have mentioned, I think Real IQ mentioned that what they can do with this is they can kind of threaten, in a sense, of any British boxer that or license holder that wants to compete against Conor Benn. And if the fight does go ahead between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, I get this as, it's not rocket science. I think they might look at taking Chris Eubank's license away, Eubank Jr.'s license away, if he does want to go ahead with this fight. I mean, as far as Eubank's concerned, yeah, well, there's a lot of people disappointed in him because of this talk. As you would think the right thing to do would be to actually go and run it back with Liam Smith before you do anything else, because Liam Smith did give him a serious beating. I, for one, can sort of understand that. And on another note, with regard to this story, that side of the news was more so coming from Eddie Hearn, but Kalle Sauerland was recently on TalkSport about a day ago or maybe 2 days ago, and he got a bit of a grilling by Simon Jordan about the whole Conor Benn fiasco and his responsibility as Eubank's promoter. And so he got a lot of flack on it, and he got kind of cornered a bit by Simon Jordan. And on that show, interestingly, as much as we're hearing these rumors about Benn versus Eubank, Sauerland seemed to suggest that Eubank's main focus is actually the rematch with Liam Smith. But he put in there that it's all subject to contract. So he said, in fact, that in spite of these sort of rumors about Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. rescheduled in the Middle East, he admitted, yes, they're looking at that, but the primary thing that they're looking at the moment is the rematch. And he seemed to he didn't seem super keen on the rematch from the way he sounded on the interview, but he did say that that's kind of what they're on at the moment. The rematch clause, according to Southland, has been actually triggered, um, but it's just a matter of getting the contracts right. His stance was that yes, we're involved, we're getting into it, but it's all subject to contract. It's subject to the contract that, let's say, Shalom or whatever offers them being right. And the way he sounded was like, well, if it's not right, if we don't like the terms of the contract, then we'll just walk away from the fight. That is basically what it sounded like. So yeah, good bit of, well, interesting bit of news here. We've got the possibility of Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. Obviously, the board are not looking to allow that to happen. Going by everything I've heard from them, they're definitely not looking to allow that to happen. They seem to want to stop that. And also you've got the Liam Smith rematch negotiations, which I believe are sort of ongoing at the moment, but that's also just a 50-50 thing because the terms have got to be right, and that sounds like kind of they're not 100% sure. So yeah, let me know what you think about this. Eubank Jr. versus Ben in the Middle East. You know, because this could be a question of whether or not Eubank is willing to let his BBBFC license go. Is he willing to just let it go and then just get the fight with Ben? Because I think it's a fight that, although it's got a lot of dirt on it, although it's got the cheating scandal on it, I think this will still be a fight that a lot of people will tune in to watch. It's one that I would watch just out of interest, just out of just looking to sort of see, is Chris Eubank Jr. completely finished? How is Conor Benn now? You know, presumably with clean tests and that, and does his performance take a dip or whatever? It's still quite an intriguing matchup for me. It's one that I would still watch. I understand that yes, it does make boxing look bad because you've got a guy who's basically a drug cheat who's not cleared his name, and then you've got another guy who is kind of looks possibly finished. He looked terrible in his last fight. So yeah, it is kind of intriguing viewing. So let me know what you think about this whole fiasco, Eubank Jr. versus Ben, or possibly Eubank Jr. versus Smith. Let me know what you think about this news. And until next time, it's MK Pugilism over and out.